Welcome to Netflix African Stories. My name is Elizabeth Boluwatife, and on today's show we have a special guest with us. His name is Sola Soyele, but most people know him as Sola Soyele. He's a creative writer, inspirational blogger, gospel songwriter, radio presenter, and the founder of A Good Fellow, a literary non-profit discovering and publishing young African writers through initiatives like TYWA, the Good Fellow Young Writers Award. He's also the founder of Me Page, an organization dedicated to telling of stories of dream chasers, and a music minister whose song like Eternally and You Are Big have blessed lives across Lagos. Join me as I welcome Mr. Shola Shieli to the show. Mr. Shola, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I think you were very kind and generous with the bio you read. Thank
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So, for those meeting you for the first time, can you please introduce yourself in 30 seconds?
you. Wow. Okay, I'm Shola Sherry. Like she said, I love to write. I love everything literature, music, and arts. So I'm usually taking different shapes within those, should I say, spaces.
Okay, so we want to know the man behind the name. We want to go a little deeper into who Mr. Shola is. So, you were born in Lagos.
Mhm,
Okay. You studied philosophy at UI.
mhm.
Looking back, how did a philosophy degree shape the way you see life and writing?
Mm, So I think I can say that basically what philosophy does is that it works on your mind. It improves your thinking.
Definitely.
You can think more clearly. You can address things from a more objective,
Mhm.
objective and constructive point of view. So I think that it just helped me develop this critical eye when I'm looking at things and and in my perspective to like different things in life. So it also affects my writing
Okay.
because when I write, I don't just, of course, there is the joy of writing, but then I'm more critical when I'm writing. I'm asking questions like, what do I want this piece to do? What kind of impact do I want to have? And then I'm also thinking critically as to, the elements I put in and being very
Okay.
intentional so that by the time it comes out, it's not just raw art, it's something that has impact and can, maybe I would have said change somebody's life or influence
Okay.
somebody's life positively.
Okay, that's interesting. Amazing stuff, by the way. You've written about starting out scribbling on receipts, tissue papers, flyers. What was it about writing that kept pulling you back even then?
Okay, so this question is very revealing, and I'm wondering where you got all of the details from because you are correct. Right,
Thank
so
you.
what was it about writing
Writing.
that kept me coming
Yeah.
and all? Well, I would say to start with, I think usually would have this urge. So as a writer, right, and as a creative writer, right from when I started I took it more seriously in my teenage years. I think,
Wow.
yes, when I think GSS3 was when I took it more seriously, right? And so when the stories come, I usually just have this urge. Many of my stories, I don't have them planned out. There are stories, there are songs and other pieces that I plan out,
Okay.
I have the outline of how I want it to go. But many of them come impulsively. And so I know that if I don't commit them to paper, I may lose the opportunity to, should I say, meet a new character or visit a new place through storytelling. So it was kind of compulsive. And whenever this urge to write those stories came, I just needed to write them down. And sometimes I wouldn't be able to take them off my mind. I remember times when I'll be rolling in bed, but the story is starting, and then I just don't want to lose it because I don't want to wake up in the morning and now regret that I could have made this character more, should I say, intimately and like realize how their lives unfolded. But because I didn't have the strength to stand up, so it would come at any place. I could be standing at a queue to pay for my groceries. I could be in church and then the pastor is preaching, but there's a bulletin in front of me. So I'll just scribble it as it comes as much as possible to capture the ideas that I say come up in my mind.
Wow, that's interesting. Do you want to know what I was doing in GS3?
What were you?
I was playing hide and seek.
Well, not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, and one of my hide and seek episodes landed me in an hospital.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay. That one is critical.
Yeah, that was what I was doing in GS3. So we are proud of you.
Thank you.
Very proud of you.
Thank you.
So you call yourself an innate philosopher.
Mhm.
That's right.
Mm.
And an encourager. What's the core message you're trying to get people to believe about themselves?
Hmm. Well, would I say believe about themselves? Okay, let me start from this side that everything I do, the primary objective is usually to help people become better versions of themselves. And so when you look at any work of art or anything that I have actually had my hands on, it's usually to help people realize that you only live once. You may, and I don't even think you get a second chance to relive this life. So, as much as possible, live in the moment, do whatever you want to do, spend your time wisely. Don't focus on things that are outside your control, and just enjoy the moment because life is a mix of. I used to say, life is not a bed of roses, and it's also not a bag of thorns. So, it's a blend. Just live your life to the fullest.
Don't focus on things that are out of your control. I hope you guys heard that. You said you're awfully vulnerable to brilliant artworks, impeccable music chords, and nice perfumes. How does that aesthetic side of you feed your creativity?
So I'm smiling because there's so much that has been divulged, and I don't know where all of this is coming from. But then, how does this affect my creativity, right? Mm. You already said that I love art, right? But I just think that it feeds my creativity. It fuels it, and that is why, like I said, all of those stories coming up, I could be outside maybe with Debbie, for instance, and then there's a tree in front of me, and somebody sitting under the tree.
Okay.
A story can unfold right from that point, and then I can literally walk through the shoes of the character that I have not met. So I think that I think that that's why I'm very close to art. There was a time that I went for a sip and paint. Now it's string arts, and then I saw this string art of an old man carrying a pile of newspapers.
Okay.
Before I left the place, I wrote a short story about the man and how his family, how he struggled, how he impacted a 9 to 5, like just so all of those things from my creativity, and so daily.
Okay, that's beautiful. That love of stories and beauty seems to be why you started the Goodfellow. Let's talk about that.
Mm.
Yeah. What gap were you trying to fill when you started the Goodfellow?
So I can say that when I started writing, of course, it wasn't for the applause. It was just because I loved writing. But at some point in my senior school, I wanted to, because I wrote a lot, like you said, when the impulse comes, I'm just scribbling here, scribbling there. But I wanted to make more meaning out of it, and so I wanted somebody to look at it critically and just tell me, "Oh, this is good," or "Okay, this is what you can improve on." I just didn't want it to be me doing, should I say, just catching the cruise, like they would say now. And so, yes, my English teacher would always give me all of the compliments, but I wanted more. I just wanted people that did not know me, that hadn't seen me, to say something about my writing, but I didn't get much of the opportunity. And by the time I got one, it was an international one, right? So I just felt like enough has not been done when it comes to celebrating writing, especially in Nigeria, here in Africa. I know that there are movements, right? But it's not as much as when you see people. We see a lot of shows on TV. It's a talent show. Maybe you're singing, maybe you're dancing. We see people celebrating science, mathematics competitions. But I didn't think, at some point I was trying to Google, right? I didn't find enough, but I didn't also want to pass the blame to say the government should be the one to do it, or some institutions are not. I just looked within myself that what can I do to change the narrative, or how can I, should I say, create the change I want to see, even if it's in a very tiny bit. And so that was what gave rise to the Goodfellow. I wanted writers like me who may be seeking validation or maybe just feedback to get that from somebody that doesn't owe them any pity, to just say something constructive about what they have done, and then ensure that they don't lose that passion for writing on the way, like Debbie had mentioned. So they can continue, writing and see it as a lifestyle. You don't have to let go of it when you become an adult. You get, I wanted to just keep the conversation on writing going, and so I think that's what gave rise to the Goodfellow.
Seeing a problem and preferring solution to it is actually an amazing mindset. But a lot of people see problems and then they don't know what to do, they don't have the solution, they just keep tackling the problem. But then what people don't know is when we keep tackling the problem and we do not have a solution, the problem still remains.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you are doing amazing, and we just want to let you know that.
Thank you very much.
DYWA has been a major project giving teenagers a platform through short story contest and publishing them in the sound of our own voices. What's been the most rewarding moment for you so far?
Okay, so maybe I'll go here and there. So to start with, I didn't start to the Goodfellow to make money. It was to give back to the writing community, right? And so even just seeing the number of people that have actually, the first one we did, like I said, I started it on a small scale. It was just me using my blog at the time. And I got a couple of entries from remote places I didn't even think I would get, from Enugu, from say Kano.
Wow.
And you know how we say writing is not rampant, it's not the prevalent, should I say, activity here. But then I saw people in scattered places actually sending their entries in. I didn't do any massive marketing. It was just me sharing it on my status maybe once at an introvert, right? But some other people helped me to share it. But seeing that a lot of people poured in their stories, it made me feel like I was starting something that was going to impact people, right? But when they say one of the most, should I say, fulfilling moments, there are many fulfilling moments. Like when I look back at the number of stories we've gotten, when I look back at the feedback from those that wrote the stories, and we did a physical event last year. It was supposed to be like a literary festival, and then some of the winners that were able to come physically, location wise, right? She was saying that she had been putting in for different entries, and then she didn't get any feedback, not even, oh, you didn't do well, oh, we received your story. And I could relate with it because the international one, I said, at some point I just didn't hear anything, right? But then she said that she got the first email and she's like, oh, these people are serious. So, and then she kept up with it and she saw that, oh, they mean business. And then she's happy that she was able to become one of the winners.
Thank you so much for that answer.
My pleasure.
All right. So running a non-profit is hard work. How do you sustain it financially and emotionally?
I think that's a big question. So financially, to be honest, it comes mostly from my pocket. And there were times I tried to reach out for support, right? Because I felt like it's something that benefits a lot of people. It's not just for personal gratification. But then I got some feedback from some people that were not favorable. And someone saying that maybe this doesn't make money for me. Like I don't make money from this. Why should I be a part of it? And I'm like, I understand the fact that business is good, but we didn't start on the business note. We can evolve, but that cannot become our primary motive, right? So so your question again, not to digress, you said, how do I sustain it financially? So I plan it all year round. So when we end a calendar of the Goodfellow, as we are ending it, I'm already making financial plans towards the next one so that it's not such a burden at that point. And emotionally, I have people, to be honest. There is nothing that lasts long without people. They say if you want to go fast, you can go alone, but if you want to go far, you should go with people. So I have people around me, my siblings, my friends. There are people that will just call and say, where are we on this? There are people I can call and say, I'm getting tired, but I don't want to give up, right? So I think I have good people around me and I'm grateful for that.
Oh, that's amazing. It's amazing. We thank God for people. What's the biggest misconception young writers have about getting published today?
Biggest misconception about getting published? Well, so I'm trying to look at how to answer the question. And it depends on what you mean by published, right? So because if you want to publish a hardcover, of course it's going to be capital intensive.
Definitely.
But then there are other ways you can publish that may not cost you as much, right? Like I talked about starting a blog in the first place. It was because I think as of my secondary school SS2, I had written like a novel of like 250 pages, but I didn't have the money to publish it then. I know those stories kept coming, but I just needed a channel for it, and so I started different blogs. So I think that we sometimes generally wait for the perfect opportunity. Oh no, it has to be a paperback, and so we think within the box. When we think outside the box, we may be able to do more and not limit ourselves. So I think that the biggest misconception is that there is only one way to get things done or to put out your writing. You can think outside the box and see other ways to start while you also work towards publishing. the traditional way.
I've learned a lot. I'm not going to box myself anymore.
That'll be nice.
Yeah. You guys, I'm coming for you. Your motto is rewarding creativity with a platform for positive influence. How do you decide what stories and writers get to that platform?
So I always said that the primary basis
Okay.
for a qualifying story is the creativity.
Mm,
Because I know that punctuations can be worked on, grammar can be worked on, all of
definitely.
those spellings can be worked on, even though they are very important for a writer, right? But I believe that in the journey of writing,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing is your creativity. So how I decide what stories get that platform is, you just read a story and you can just see the creativity behind it, right? And then you can see that it's not coming from the usual angle. And this year we tweaked our contest a bit, and
Okay.
then we had to say, okay, because I felt like our stories were not representing the vast majority of people. So I said, ensure that there is a disabled person in your story. And it doesn't have to be a sad story. It can be a comedy, it can be a positive one, but it can be the entirety of their life. You can just pick a moment and just zoom in on it, but ensure
Okay.
that somebody with a disability is there. Or should I say, zoom in on any of the events happening in Nigeria today? There is a whole lot. So, but when I review all of those feedbacks, you see that some people actually give it deep thoughts, right? The creativity is the first thing that strips me of balance. Because when you look online, for instance, there are, even in Nollywood, you see many stories that are alike, right? But
Right.
somebody can still tell the same story, but from a different angle, and you're like, oh wow, I really enjoyed this, right? So I just look out for the creativity first, because that originality is raw talent. That is what we are looking out for. Any
Definitely.
other thing, we can organize workshops, trainings, we can share handbooks on how to improve your writing, but that originality is what we look out for, and that is what qualifies a story for the platform.
You're not just a writer and platform builder, you're also a songwriter and music minister. Let's talk about that. You released Eternally in March 2020, right at the start of COVID. What was going through your mind dropping a gospel song in that period?
Mm. Well, I would say that at that point, I think that quite a number of people had maybe lost hope, or their hopes were shaking, right? And I just wanted to remind people that God doesn't fail, and so even in the middle of what seems to be unpleasant, we can worship Him knowing that He's got us covered. I think that was really the message.
Okay, that's amazing. You Are Big came out in December 2021. You said God challenged you to be faithful to release it. Can you walk us through that moment?
Hmm. Wow, now let me remember. Where was I when I released that? I think I was in Lagos, and then I was shuffling between sorry,
Sorry.
shuffling between Lagos and Ibadan. But I think many things were not the way they should be. I mean, I had a lot of challenges, right? I didn't have the time, and at some point, when we talked about Spark, I had gotten so drowned in work that I wasn't even feeling like doing it at all. But then I just felt a nudge in me that it was time for me to just release that, right? And I think that it was me heeding to the call that really made the difference, because after I released it, I think I got some feedback, right? And me also listening to it during those times, right?
Yeah.
It also uplifted me as a person, even though I was the creator of the
Yeah.
song in a way. So I think that's what I would say.
Okay. It's amazing. Your lyrics always point back to purpose and worship. Is that intentional?
Yes,
That's not a question, but that's intentional. Okay.
yes.
Do you ever feel pressure to make music that's more commercial? For creatives trying to honor God with their heart, what's your advice?
Wow, okay. First things first, I don't try to make music that is more commercial.
Okay.
And as an artist, my own perspective is I want to preserve the originality and all of that, right? I don't think that external influences should have like a big seat on the table, right?
Okay.
Of course, making music for business, I think you said commercially, it's not bad
Yeah.
at all. It's also my motive. I want to make money off of music, but I don't start with that, right? I create it first, and then if there are things that I can tweak that wouldn't take away from the originality,
Yeah.
if I can sacrifice them for
Mm-hmm.
commercial purposes, maybe I would, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that they decide a whole lot,
Okay.
right? But then the second leg of the question is that for creatives that are
Yeah, that are trying to get into that and they're trying to honor God with their art.
mhm.
What's your advice for them?
Yes, so I think that we can do both, to be honest. You don't have to sacrifice one.
Mm-hmm.
We can do both. We have people today that make good music and then of course they are making money off of it. So you don't have to sacrifice that. So I think that creatives should not feel guilty for wanting to make money off of it. Even if you are
Mm,
a worshipper, the Bible also says the gift of a man makes ways for him and all of that. And
yeah,
then your talents and gifts are supposed to profit you as much as they
exactly.
profit others too.
Mm-hmm.
You are not left out of the equation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that creatives should not feel that guilt of is it right for me to want to commercialize this? But I just think
Mm,
that if you received a message or something that is solid, just be careful that in the bid to please people, you don't now tamper with the core of what you are
mm,
trying to do, because many a time people do that. Maybe the
mm.
song comes as something solemn, for instance, and they're
Okay.
like, no, you need to make it more vibey, let people be able to
Mm,
dance to it. Yes, you make it more vibey, and then the lyrics are still there, but maybe it's not doing quite what it should do because it was supposed to be solemn, right? So
mm,
just try to strike the balance and then
okay.
don't lose the originality. But of course, outright, don't feel guilty for wanting to commercialize it.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that wonderful answer.
Mm.
So let's get practical. I
Mm.
told you it's a safe space. So
Okay. And I told you that saying it's a safe space is a scary line, but we
you
can
can
have it.
trust me. I promise you.
All right.
Okay, so you've mentioned being an introvert who
Mm-hmm.
sometimes missed opportunities because of solitude.
Mm-hmm.
How have you learned to step out without losing yourself?
Mm. So I think it's a lot of self-development,
Okay.
right? Many introverts are creative people. I wouldn't say all because of
Mm-hmm.
course I don't have data, right? But many introverts are creative people. But if you remain in your comfort zone, if you remain in your shell, as
Mm-hmm.
much as the shell may be protecting you from all of the what will people say, how will people receive it, the
Yeah.
possible outcomes that may come from it, it's also keeping you from the light outside. It's keeping you from impacting lives. So
Mm,
you need to be able to strike a solid balance, right?
to be
So what
comfort
I
zone.
do, right, is I'm just intentional about it.
Okay.
And then I have like realistic goals. For
Mm,
instance, there was a time I was supposed to work with what's the name of this radio station now in Ibadan at some point. I was
okay.
a student then, but I had even gotten the opportunity and all. But then I was like, how would I sound on the radio? How would this happen?
Mm,
You get? And then I was even my plan was to, like, when you create audiobooks
okay.
and then just get feedback live on air and just make
Mm-hmm.
literature that's like fluid for people to just relate to. Let me just tell
Mm-hmm.
you a story another time and then discuss maybe authors, like something solid like we're doing here,
Right.
right? And then I lost many of those opportunities because I think I wouldn't, should I say cowardly, right? So what I do now is I draw realistic goals. If I want something, first I draw realistic goals and then I also remind myself that nothing is too big. I
Mm-hmm.
also let myself realize that your mind is kind of wired to protect you, and in a
Mm-hmm.
bid to protect you, it may be keeping you far from where you should be. You get your mind is wired to make lead you in the careful path. But if you are
Mm-hmm.
too careful when you are living, you're not living fully. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then I also had to open myself to mistakes and errors. It's fine. I
Okay.
can make a mistake. It's fine. I can
Definitely.
things may not go the right way,
Mm-hmm.
but that is not the end in itself. So
True.
all of the things that would scare me from coming out, I
Mm.
confronted them. Okay, what will people say? Well, people would always have something to say. And I remind
Exactly.
myself, I say, my great grandfather, I know next to nothing about him. There are just a few people that are that notable that people will remember their lives. And we
Mm.
even remember their lives in fragments, not the entirety of it.
Exactly.
So whatever I'm fuzzing about now, in say the next how many generations, nobody would even know that that scene ever existed. So this is
True.
my time to live my life, and then I want to
Mm-hmm.
welcome those mistakes. I also see those mistakes as something that is necessary. I don't think that my life should be entirely perfect. I feel like
Exactly.
for you to be perfectly human, there has to be mistakes. You're not a
True.
robot. So I just see it as it's part of the human nature. And so
Yeah.
while I'm making some of those mistakes, I'm learning and then I'm getting better, because clearly the more mistakes you make, the better you get.
True.
So I just confronted them and then I think I got more comfortable with the possible outcomes, whether good or bad. And I think it helped
Yeah.
me break into the light.
Yeah, I agree. My sister would always tell me, Elizabeth, let people make their mistakes because it's part of being human. If you don't make mistakes, I don't know, is there anybody that doesn't make mistakes?
Right.
So it's always normal to
Mhm.
make mistakes. If you could sit down with 19-year-old Shola, what would you tell him?
Hmm. If I could sit down with 19-year-old Shola, I think I would just tell him that he worried so much about things that he shouldn't have spent his
Mm,
energy on. And many times we worry about something. When those moments come and then we've crossed it, we don't even look back. We just move on to the next,
yeah.
right? At some point, I was worried about getting into uni. At
Mm,
some point, I was worried about my project. At some
mm-hmm.
point, I was worried about where to serve. And as insignificant as it can be for me now, thinking of why am I bothered about where I would
Yeah.
serve, it was a big deal
At the
for me at the time.
time,
So I think I'll just tell myself to take things slowly. Don't take things
relax.
too like things is your my mind. I just would tell myself that Shola, your mind sometimes many times magnifies the outcomes
Mm,
you get, and then the way I say everything in life is a coin. There's the
yeah,
good and the bad. It's 50-50, but your mind is always amplifying the negative part more.
exactly.
So I'll just tell myself, just chill, like everything is going to be fine, and
Yeah.
your life would unfold at the pace it should unfold as long as you do what you need to do.
Mm, okay, interesting. For someone listening right now who has a dream but feels stuck, what is your first step advice?
My first step advice would be you have a dream, you already know what you want,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think it's to now, they always talk about writing it down, right? I
Yeah.
think it's good. Honestly think it's
Mm-hmm.
good. Maybe
I
it's not a
recommend
popular
that as
opinion.
well.
So write out all that you need to do to get to where you want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Write it out, the big one, the unimaginable one. And
Mm-hmm.
now think of what is the first thing I can do.
Mm-hmm.
Many times, like I said, your mind magnifies all of these things. So maybe you want to, for instance, when I released my first song, I wanted to release my first song, and I was like, do you have to go and meet a producer? Do you have to do? The first thing was, what song do you want to release?
Mm,
You can do that. Okay, the
okay.
next thing is you need somebody to produce it. How can you
Yeah.
get the contact of people that can produce it? Even though you know that maybe the next step is money, I don't have the money.
Mm,
Meet with people, speak with people. What producer can you recommend? This, that.
yeah.
You get it, and then shortlist from there, and then go and speak with a producer. Even if you don't have the money, just
Mm,
take bold steps. Take the steps that are immediate to you. Don't
mm,
try to, get to the end right from the beginning. There's usually something you can do at the moment. Maybe you want to start a business. Maybe it's for you to do more research. Maybe it's for you to find somebody in that space to just
mm,
educate you or just talk to you about how they started their journey. Or maybe it's for you to go online and read up something.
mm-hmm.
Many times we just thought about the things that are not going right and then how we want to
Yeah.
get to the end. But there is something immediate you can do. Usually when you look at it, there is
Mm,
something immediate you can do. Then if you also have someone that is getting knowledgeable or wise in your space, you can also
yeah.
speak with those people because many times they can dissect it so that you see that it's not as difficult as you're saying.
Mm,
Yes, there are things that may come as challenges, but there are things that you can do while you are thinking of how you solve the challenges. And when you get to the bridge, usually you would cross it.
mm. That's amazing because I feel like people we focus on the things that are beyond our control
Mhm.
a lot of times, and then we leave the things that we can see, the things that we can manage, we leave them, and then we focus on things
I'm
that are
telling
beyond
you,
our
I think I may
control.
want to also give you an example. So I do inspirational talks too,
Okay.
right? And at some point when I started out, especially giving bite-sized inspirational
Mm-hmm.
thoughts online, I didn't want to put my face to it. And I'm like, I want to pass my message across, but I don't want to be the face of it. And I was worried about it. How me not wanting to stay in front of the camera was a stumbling block. But at some point, when you realize it, when you dissect it, you have a message. You
Mm,
don't necessarily have to put your face to it. They have
true.
faceless content. You can do a voiceover. You
Yeah.
can literally be in the picture, but your face is not there. It depends on what you want to
Mm,
do. Then at some point, I was like, okay, let me just get a nice place so that I can film the ambience and all of that. And I was like, where will I have to go to? And I
mm,
realized that one day I was just, I think, out from my house. I was staying on Magodo Road at the time. And I just took, I think I was in a ride too. And then I just realized that what I'm looking for is here. I can literally
yeah.
just film my journey. The funny thing was that was how I started one string of my content. It was me just filming my journey and then lacing it with
Mm,
voiceovers. And then I realized that what I was overthinking, it
it's
wasn't really
just
that deep.
yeah.
You can, if I know that there is a big picture that you're seeing, that is
Yeah.
where you're supposed to get to.
Mm-hmm.
But on your journey there is something you can do, even though it doesn't get you there. It takes you a step away
Right.
from where you used to be and a step
Exactly.
closer to where you want to be.
The evolution of AI, what do you think about it as a creative?
Mm, so it's an intense conversation happening today, right? Because AI is attempting many of the things that we do, especially creative writing, for instance. You can just give it,
Definitely.
you may not even give it context and just say, tell me a story, and then it will come up with a story,
Mm,
right? So your question is, how does it affect what we
you
do
as a creative,
as a
yes.
creative? Affect me personally or what I
You
do?
personally?
Well, I don't see AI as something to be struck out. It has
Mm,
come to stay, right? And it's supposed to be a tool. It's instrumental.
yeah.
But when people now use it as the end in itself is
Mm,
where I see the challenge. So especially for creative people, if you lean, and I think that I can argue that many of the, and I don't want to put them in a box, Gen Alpha, many of the people these days, many of the young people these days, they would rather go to ChatGPT, Copilot,
mm,
and have them write all of those things for them. And it's really threatening creativity because at some point, okay, I write for a living now,
mhm,
right? And I can, okay, so I've worked with different industries. Let me take finance, for instance. I can use AI to come up with a whole lot of things, but we can have a very unique scenario where we need something strategic instantly. Like
mhm,
I need to deal with this situation, or maybe there's even a customer that is maybe irate, and you just need to be able to pass your message across the best way. You won't say, "Hold on for me, let me ask ChatGPT," right? And I
mm,
feel like if you always lean towards AI,
yeah,
it would reduce, it would discourage your mind from attempting to be adventurous, attempting to like
definitely.
come up with
Mm-hmm.
solutions, right? So I think
Yeah.
it is a threat, but it is because of the way we are adopting it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it is supposed to be a threat in itself. If we
Right.
use it as an instrument, I think it will be a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. A lot of people, we've boxed ourselves into that AI, like some things that we can do ourselves in like a few years to go, a few
Texting,
years ago, we can
SMS.
do that ourselves. Some people are asking AI to give them a birthday message. It's terrible, honestly, and it's honestly terrible, and we need to know that we can do beyond this. AI is not supposed to be a threat, it's supposed to make us do better, even as at a few years ago, if you're writing and you're not really good at writing, it should make you get better now, not
Exactly
you
my
get.
point.
So
Because there
now
are many ways that AI can
it's
help you get better,
crazy. It's crazy,
as
yeah.
opposed to taking away that space of you being creative.
So we're going to wrap up with some rapid fire questions.
Hmm.
All right. What book are you reading right now?
Okay, two books though, but then the
Okay.
one I'm reading at the moment is what's this book by I think Adam Ibrahim. Oh, I started Nightmares. I started Dreams and Nightmares, something like that.
Nightmares.
So no, it's not as spooky as it sounds. It's a compilation of short stories,
Oh, okay.
independent short stories, but then they have like I think similar setting.
Okay.
So and then I just love that I could like read different stories that
Mm,
were intertwined together. So
okay.
it's not as spooky as it
Oh, I
sounds.
think that's interesting. Nightmares. All right. One song on repeat for you lately.
Hmm. Okay, one. I would have said more than one, but if you say one, I would say Mercy by Oluwatosin Lalimi. She's a friend of mine, so she
Okay.
just released that, and the song has really been like my vibe.
Uh, all right. Best piece of advice you've ever received.
Hmm, maybe I should say You Only Live Once.
Okay.
I say that a lot, but I think it's also a popular saying that I grew up to know and then I took in. So I think that's the best piece of advice that I have received from life generally, even though I can't trace where it came from. And it's the fact that, like I said, you won't get a second chance to live this life. I
Exactly.
tell people I'm like Tifa, this is the today is the youngest you've ever been. Today is also the
True.
oldest you've ever been. You
True.
won't relive this moment. So just live
Mm-hmm.
it to the fullest.
Mm.
So I think you only live once. So
Okay, that's interesting. All right, what's next for Shola Shayele and the Good Fellow? What should we watch out for?
hmm. So, well, Shola is quite independent from the Goodfellow. So, for the Goodfellow,
Okay,
yes, we have an ongoing contest that we're trying to
okay.
wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that next year will take a more adventurous turn, and I think that people
Okay,
can look forward to it. Maybe I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but if you're a writer and you just want to join a community where your creativity can run wild, and then something out of the blues, not entirely out of the blues, but something interesting, right? That's if for the good fellow. We'll tweak what we usually do.
Okay.
Then for Shola, quite a couple of things are on the way, and you know that I think creative people have that blessing, I would call it a
Yeah.
curse, where there are just many
Many
ideas.
things.
But there is this podcast that I'm supposed to start in like a
Okay.
month. Right, the podcast doesn't look like the traditional podcast, but then it's going to be somewhere where, like, you talk about safe space, being vulnerable, where we just hear, real life situations and then walk through it. Like you talked about someone wanting to get to an end, but then
Yeah.
they're overthinking it. I want to be able to walk with someone. So this is what you're thinking, and it's out of the blues, or it's rocket science. It seems like rocket science to you. I want to be able to walk with people in like 2-3 minutes, just to like separate their thoughts and help them see that you are entangling a lot of things. So there is a podcast coming up.
Right, we look forward to that, and it's interesting because Debbie and I are also working on a podcast.
Oh, okay. I think that's a good one.
We are really looking forward to that. I am looking forward to that. Where can people connect with you?
Okay, so
Yes.
for that now, I'm someone that, like you said, and the introvert side of me wants to always take a break from social media, right? So
Okay.
there used to be a time that I could be on for like 3 months and I'm off for the rest of the year, and then my
Wow.
friends are like tugging me here and there. But I think that if you want to catch me, I think Instagram is a place you can literally just reach out to me in any way, maybe in my comments, in my DMs. I think that I'm quite accessible, right? It may not be right in the moment, but then I'll get to it. So I think my name is Sola Soyele, just Sola Soyele, Sola Soyele.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm trying to get into other social media platforms too, but social media is a lot for me.
Yeah, we look forward to that. Okay, so with this, we wrap up the interview session with Mr. Shola. We hope you enjoyed this as much as we do. It was nice having you here, Mr. Shola.
Nice
It was an interesting conversation, and I must say I learned a lot. Yeah, so these people should watch out for me because I'm about to come out. I'll be unleashed. They won't recognize me anymore.
That would be nice.
So thank you so much. We appreciate your presence. Thank you.
Grateful.
And we can't wait to see what you have in store for us. We are rooting for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we hope to see you at the top.
Then I would also maybe use this opportunity to just thank the conveners of this and the people that actually reached out to me and the entire team on ground here. We have Tife, we have Debbie, we have Lola, we have Dorcas, and they've been exceptional. So thanks for having me.
All right. Once again, my name is Elizabeth Buluatife, and this is Not the Fixed African Stories.